Hello, we will now continue with the story of Ehud. And I promise that I'm going to begin with the Gush Katif aspect. However, I just remembered something else which is very, very, very strange to me. I once tried to find out more things about Ehud's past before he became Jewish. You remember the stories about the Luce family, Claire Booth Luce and Henry Luce. I found out from Ehud that he had a grandfather, a great-grandfather, I'm not sure, and it does make a difference, who was the captain of a ship. And this ship captain had a ship which he called the Wandering Jew. And when Ehud told me this, I said, why the Wandering Jew? He says, I have no idea. But he called his boat the Wandering Jew. Can you figure out why? I can't. So there are all kinds of things here which, as I said, if it wasn't true, I wouldn't believe it. So I have this story of the relative with the Wandering Jew, which, by the way, Ehud said, the idea of the Wandering Jew is also a Christian idea, meaning it's not the Wandering Jew of ours. It can be a Wandering Jew and have a negative connotation. But we had this kind of a thing. Anyhow, this brings me to Ehud wanting to go to Gush Katif. One of the Yishuvim in Gush Katif was called Gan Or. What am I supposed to say? Gan Or Alei Shalom? Because where his house was in Gan Or, I assume there still is an Emda of Hamas. Anyhow, he wanted to go to Gan Or. He applied, and a group of residents of Gan Or came to my house in Haifa to check whether they should accept him or not. And naturally, I told them all the stories, and they accepted him, and he went to Gan Or. And of course, he was a success in whatever he did. And eventually, the question came up after living in a dump. The question was whether to build a house. And Dvorah, his wife, called me up and says, she also said rabbi, only she didn't say it with a Connecticut accent. She says, should we build? Because people told me not to, that it's dangerous. But I told her to build. And they did. And they built a beautiful house. And I still feel guilty at the ruins of the house. And I don't have to go into all the stories of the things that he did during the problematic weeks. And he wasn't the only one. Because I'm not going into the story of his best friend, Gershon, who was also like a son of mine, who was a Jew, born a Jew, and became friendly with Ehud when they both were in the University of Haifa. And Gershon came from a completely non-religious home, and he went back to visit his father, and his father said to him, Gershon, forget this. I think his father was in the old clothes business. His father said to him, Gershon, stay here in America. Forget this business. He says, 2 checks. I give you one check to build a house on Long Island. I give you another check to buy a car. Forget the mishigas of Aliyah and of joining the army. But he didn't forget the mishigas. He gave up the house. He gave up the car. And he came on Aliyah. And he was a fighter. How do you explain these things? I don't know. But that's what was. Anyhow, so they were very, very good friends and did many things together in Gan Or. Which brings me, of course, to the point, and here I think maybe really is the point to say we've had enough of this kind of story, the point where the first Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, after the tragedy of Gush Katif, both couples and their children were in our home for the Chag. And since then, I have only nachas from all their kids who learn. Where don't they learn? Including Merkaz Arav, including being there when people were killed in Merkaz Arav. Anyhow, it means that B'chol Zot, Mensch tracht and Gott lacht, but you can also say Mensch tracht, and you think sometimes that we'll never, never, never see any joy. U'b'chol Zot, Baruch Hashem, I can say that I enjoy my adopted friends no less, of course no more, but no less than I enjoy my own family.